Hello, I'm Dan.
I'm Simon.
And this is the Wikicast, a podcast where Wikipedia takes us to a random article each week and we talk about what we find. Simon, what are we talking about this week?
This week, Daniel, we're talking about, are you ready for this? The 2001 to 2002 Nashville Predators season.
Okay.
It's another one
the
of these.
Congolium classic.
Oh no, we haven't actually had.
We've come full circle.
We did have the. There was that Chinese football team, and we had one of their seasons. I can't even remember where they were. It wasn't Guangzhou, but it was somewhere in China. But it has been a while since we've had an article like this. But this is...
It was the 2005 Beijing Guan FC season.
Oh, the Guan. Yes, that was it.
Yeah.
So now...
Classic.
Before the podcast, I asked Dan, do you have a lot to talk about today? Because, this article isn't going to do a huge amount of lifting on its own. But I then did a bit more digging. And, oh boy, is there gold in this mine here. So let's just crack on, shall we? This is like a neat little kind of summary of what a lot of Wikipedia is like, I think. So, the 2001 to 2002 Nashville Predators season was the Nashville Predators' fourth season in the National Hockey League. So, it's the American Ice Hockey League, and it was apparently they're a decent enough team. They were in there for 4 seasons. They came fourth overall. No, sorry about that. No, they came 14th. Because they have a number in the Central Division, and then they have a CR, a conference rank. So I guess that's like,
of course they do.
In their division.
How else would you organise it?
In their division, maybe they came 4th, but in the conference, they came 14th. I really don't know. Yes, they were second from bottom. The only team that did worse than them was the other team, the Columbus Blue Jackets, in the Central Division, which is part of the Western Conference. Because American sports, everybody. This is just how American sports looks. We think...
Did you play hockey as a child?
I loved hockey. That was one of the sports that I was genuinely all right at. I was a defensive.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed hockey.
We're talking field hockey, for those of you who are from the colonies here, or possibly from Baltic states or Russia. We're talking hockey played on grass, more often than not, AstroTurf. What position did you play?
Oh, crumbs, I don't know. I think it would have been somewhere in the middle.
Right.
Yes.
Somewhere in the middle. Okay, so like a midfielder. I
loved it nonetheless. But,
yeah.
It was...
Yeah, I always used to play either centre back or left back, and because our school was really good at hockey, but for women, like the girls' team was really good, but the boys' team definitely was not.
Fair. Is that why you've still got the wig then?
Yes, exactly. I had to. It was like a reverse pirate situation, where instead of having to strap down my bust, I had to gaffer tape my to my leg, so that there was no accusations of pork swording flapping around.
We are about 4 minutes into the podcast, and we've had the glorious phrase, I had to gaffer tape my to my leg.
That's going to be some fan art.
Welcome to the Wikicast, a podcast where Wikipedia makes us talk about really weird shit.
He started it, I'd like to point out. Yeah, no, I remember we used to, because we were a state school, and we used to go and play mixed hockey. We were pretty good. I think we were pretty well established as a good side. But for men's hockey, the only other schools that played it were the very well-to-do private schools. And I remember going to what's it called? Like a tournament, and we just got thrashed in every single game. And they were doing trick shots. They were doing like. They were if the opposing team had a corner, they would flick it in from the corner, and they'd have one of their people stand on the goal line, but outside of the goal, and then they would just tap it in with their hockey stick, held like Darth Maul would hold his lightsaber, deflecting it off the middle of it and just going boop into the goal. It was just showing off, basically. Wow. Yeah, it was pretty disheartening, not gonna lie. But also we didn't have a terribly good talent pool. I was one of the more decent players on the team, and I had barely any experience. I used to go to training sessions at the local club, but I never really, I just never really gelled with it. I never really committed to doing it sort of properly, so I wasn't very good. Whereas some of the girls on our team were ridiculous. One of them had 103 goals in the school season. It was outrageous.
I thought you were going to say one of the girls had 103 legs. I was like, well, she's probably very good then.
Yeah, yeah. This is our centre forward, Millie Peed.
Yeah.
Budumts. That's one of my best jokes
nice.
in a very long time, I've got to say, and that really is quite depressing.
Very fine. Yes.
But yeah, so what sports did you play when you were a kid?
Well, when I lived in the UK, first time round, so this would have been like primary school, you did quite a lot of kind of like the all-rounders. So, for instance, we played rounders. We played football or soccer to our friends across the pond. Maybe dabbled in a bit. So, yeah, kick back, mate. You go for your life.
Yeah, I was just enjoying an ice-cold beverage here whilst I'm letting you do the heavy lifting on this podcast.
Yeah.
Crack
Lovely.
on. It is what it is, mate. Just crack on.
Yeah. Well, so a bit of rounders, bit of football, bit of hockey. I then went to the Netherlands where I played quite a lot of hockey. And I got massively into ultimate frisbee. That was really fun.
I have never played ultimate frisbee.
It's a great sport. It's really, really excellent. And a bit of cross country. And then in Australia, it would have been a bit of football again, but like soccer, not Aussie rules football, because never played that.
Yeah,
that's bit of touch rugby. Yeah. And then mainly cross country was kind of like the thing that I did most. And a bit of table tennis on a Wednesday.
Nice. I can imagine you being good at table tennis, actually. I don't know why, but...
Yeah, I'm not bad.
Like, we're considering that it was the very first PhD vlog that, like, the Week in the Life one was us playing tennis. Do you remember? The very first one.
That was really fun, actually. That was really fun.
It was. I really regret not doing that more, because it was like... I don't think we had to pay, or did we have to pay for the court? We did, but it was really cheap, because didn't you have a membership? I had a membership,
so
yeah.
It was cheaper.
But like, yeah, we only did that like two times, maybe. I think, did we get Pixel Girl along once? We got her and...
We did some doubles once.
Yeah.
I think in total, including when we went and did doubles, I think we went maybe 4 or 5 times.
It was really fun. And we
definitely played singles 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, and we never got any better. Like, it would have been a really fun project for us to like just hire a coach and like have like an hour of tennis coaching a week and just see if we can get any better. Because it's something that you only realise when you leave uni is that like all of those facilities are just on your doorstep. They're just like there to be used. You've got a ready pool of people who you could play with. You've just got not a massive, let's not brag, but like you're going to have a friendship group of people that you could play with.
You got a massive friendship group.
A massive friendship group. I've got loads of people. And like it's something that when you leave uni, you actually realise that it's quite unusual for all those factors to be in place at the same time. So yeah, like I really,
especially at a university like Exeter, where the facilities are so
they're outrageous. Like
they just pour so much money into the sports department, it's insane.
If anybody is thinking of applying to UK universities and sport is important to you, holy Mother of Mary, should you go and check out Exeter, because it's just ridiculous. Yeah, but yeah, no, because that video's got like 750,000 views now. I think it's like so many people have watched our.
Well, it's there for the tennis tutorials.
Yeah, exactly. That was and you being a little woodland nymph, like afterwards, scurrying around.
I remember that.
Yeah, because when I was a kid, I played a bit of tennis. I did some lessons when I was a kid, but like I just apparently I didn't enjoy it very much. And I think they used to put me up against kids who were much older than me, which should have been I should have internalized as, oh, I guess I'm okay at this. Like I'm playing kids who were older, but instead I was like, this isn't fair. I don't want to play anymore. Which is just so much that's wrong with me in a nutshell, really. Yeah, I did a bit of that. I did a bit of football at school. I was always a defender. I'm just a very defensively minded person. Like I don't do offense. And did a little bit of rugby at school. Most of the games I played were in scouts. Like we were a scout troop that did a huge number of games every week. And there was, hang on, I'm going to Google this. We used to play something called puttocks.
Is this something that you should be talking about in therapy rather than the podcast?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that like it's not coming up with anything on Google. It was like cricket. It was like cricket in that you had fielders and a batter and a bowler, and you would, if you were in bat, it was a team thing. You'd have like a team of batters and a team of fielders. You would have to hit the ball, And then there was like a second set of stumps, but not where the bowler was. It was off to the side. And we used to we had two rubbish cans, like these two metal rubbish cans that were, I don't know, like 5 meters apart. And you try and do runs that way. And, you know, you could be bowled out or you could be tapped out on the first set of, like the first rubbish can. Or if you knock the ball out of play, because we're in a relatively small little field. But I'm not seeing any reference to this on the internet. Maybe this was something entirely invented by our scout troop.
No, I must admit, I've never heard of it.
I think my scout troop may have been lying to me that this was a thing. I remember playing it for hours. Like, we used to play that. We used to play handball, which was not actual handball. It was like football, but you used your hands. Like, you'd have to smash it with a closed fist or an open palm. And if it hit you anywhere on and also if it hit you anywhere on your body, you were out. Like, it was like the teams would whittle down very quickly. And if you played,
I played a lot of volleyball. Just remembered.
Really?
Yeah, I played that for like 2 or 3 years in Australia. That was really fun, actually.
I've never played it. I played a little bit of korfball.
I think I was just in it for the skirts, though. To be fair,
that honesty. Yeah. Sure. Why not? That. Yeah.
It's just the sense of freedom that you've got. It's just a lovely thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I've worn dresses before, and I feel like they're very liberating. You know, like it's
absolutely.
It's a shame that guys don't feel like we can wear stuff like that. The stuff that just lets the twins breathe, and it's like. I don't know, yeah. I remember it was at Scouts actually. I remember wearing definitely painting my scout troop in a very strange light. Like doing a slip and slide, and we had to like. There's a great photo of me somewhere, or in like it's almost like a Victorian, like a sleeping nightie, like a long nightie, because we had this. We had to change into clothes that we didn't mind getting wrecked, and we had some clothes left over from what's it called, from like a sale, like a jumble sale that we would do to raise money, and yeah, like. There's this. I'll have to try and find it in the middle of this podcast. There's this great photo of 16-year-old Simon just wearing a nightie. If that doesn't entice you, folks, nice. I don't know what will. But anyway.
My school, St Leonard's College, had it in the last week for Year 12s, which is the final year at the college. We could do. I think it was on a Tuesday. It was like Trans Tuesday, where the boys and the girls would swap uniform for the day.
Oh, that's fun.
Which was really fun.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the guys would get into it to the point of which they'd find the most ill-fitting dresses possible, and would also go and get really, really awful spray tans done for the day.
Well, because dressing up as a woman means you have to have an awful spray tan.
Well, yeah, I think it's also part of like the Aussie kind of, you know, a good tan's a good thing.
Yeah. All I know about Aussie is tan, surfer, no hat, no play. I remember that. And
slip, slop, slap.
Yeah, and that was basically it. It was basically what I learned from you in Malta. Again, we bring up the Chapel Choir tour to Malta. We just can't not come back to that well. So basically, we started talking about sport because we were talking about the Nashville Predators. Now, it's kind of a sad sack article, this, because they have... Right, there's different sections on the season. They have off-season. This section is empty. You can help by adding to it. There's the regular season, the player stats, the playoffs. The Predators missed the playoffs yet again for the 4th straight year. I can see some really bitter Nashvilleian fan just like writing this article yet
with
again.
A big foam, like, we are number one hand on, just kind of like really pathetically waving.
How is he going to be typing with that on? Like, really awkwardly.
Well, that's why the sections of the article are so sparse, because it never gets approved, because it's all just a jumbled mess of letters.
Awards and records, section is empty. Roster, section is empty. Farm teams section is empty. They had some draft picks from various places. They had draft picks from Canada, Russia, Slovakia, Austria, Canada, the USA, Sweden, and Finland. They seem to have gotten a decent, like, you know how like the drafting system works. Like the worse you do, the better the players you're going to get next season are. They seem to have gotten half decent players. I just guess they didn't use them very well. The thing that stood out to me though is team information. The general manager of the Nashville Predators was, in 2001, David Poyle. I'm not quite sure you're supposed to pronounce that. The coach was Barry Trotz. The captain was Tom Fitzgerald. And their arena, Their arena was the Gaylord Entertainment Centre.
Oh my God, it's the best thing that's ever happened. This article has shot up in my estimations.
Yeah. So it's now it's changed its name. It's changed its name.
Oh really? It's possibly think why.
It's now called the Bridgestone Arena. Originally the Nashville Arena and formerly Gaylord Entertainment Centre. I'd like to point out that this is not an insult that we would ever use in our daily lives. It is just unfortunate that it was an insult back when we were in primary school, and is also an American surname. I mean, I do hope that we haven't offended anyone. That was certainly not our intent with this.
No, not at all. No, I feel like people who listen to this podcast know that that's not our game.
No, in case the humour wasn't apparent, we thought it was funny because it was something that 6-year-olds would say to you as an insult. This is just me being paranoid, basically. I'm a very socially awkward person, Dan, as you well know. I don't deal well in social situations, and especially when I worry that I am offending people, probably needlessly. There we go. Yeah,
you're the kind of person who in social situations will have a thought of a seed of a conversation or a passing comment will come into your head. And if you weren't in a social situation with kind of some new people or people that you wanted to get along with, you probably wouldn't say what you were thinking. But then
when it's
then your brain somehow goes, Simon, this is gold. This is what we need right now. Quick, say it.
This is why I'm worried that I'm getting a bit too comfortable on the Wikicast Twitch channel. Oh, did you? I'll have to get added to include the audio from this. Did you? I don't suppose you saw the Armchair Admiral stream on Monday.
No.
So basically, I was streaming with them, and I'd lost at this point. My cities were being taken over, and so I was like, I'm just going to crack on with the Duolingo. I was going to do some Spanish.
Yeah.
And then we were like translating stuff in the game. So like there was a religion called Arse. So I was like, Lewis's religion, Kulo, is going well. And it was like because it was like, I'm spreading arse near you. I'm spreading my legs near you. Or like stuff like that. And so they had tits. And I was like, tetathos or tetas or whatever. And then one of the other religions was called cleavage. And I was like, wait, I actually don't know what that... Hang on, I'm just going to go out. I opened the door and I was like, Liv. And she was right there. And I'm just going to ask... Wait a minute. Hang on. Liv?
Oh, you hurt her.
He just
ambushes.
That's my reaction when I see Simon usually as well.
Massively startled her. Like,
God.
She's so easily frightened. Like, I really should do some like. It's a shame that I can't show her face on the internet because. Just like she's so easily frightened that sometimes I'll just do it for my own amusement. Like watch. There was one time when she was having a shower and I wanted to ask her something. So like I opened the door and I just like a couple of inches and I was just like I'm just gonna wait for her to notice me rather than like shock her. And then she in the shower turned around to see me and just let out this massive scream. And I was like, oh, it's you. And I was like, who else is it gonna be? Like we live alone. The door is locked. Like, oh boy. But yeah, like I got to be careful on the Wikicast streams. I got to be careful that I don't do something stupid. Anyway, that's the Gaylord Entertainment Centre is the highlight of the Nashville Predators 2001 season. I feel like we've pumped this article for all it's worth.
It just goes to show if you put a little bit of time in, a little bit of research, deep diving, you can find a little nugget of gold.
Gold in them there hills, exactly. Well, Dan, I believe it is time for you to add to your newly created Choral Piece of the Week playlist.
And this will be my Piece of the Week. Drum roll, please.
So for those of you who don't know, Dan now has a playlist. It's in the description on Apple Music because we know that most of you who listen to the show...
If someone wants to go to the trouble of going through that playlist and then creating a Spotify playlist of the same music, then be my guest. But I don't have Spotify and I'm not going to do that.
And also we know that most people who listen to the show do it on Apple operating system. So we're just making this assumption that most people are going to be probably using Apple Music. But if not, let us know. So yes, Daniel, what is your piece of the week this time around?
Well, Simon, what I'm going to do is I am going to choose a single track, but I'm also going to subtly plug the entire album because it's all really good. And it's only 5 tracks.
Right.
So this particular album is called The Eton Choir Book.
Oh, by Alamire?
No. by the that will maybe the I don't think it's this one single. The Eton Choir Book is a compilation of early polyphony.
Yeah.
This particular album is sung by the Huelgas Ensemble, which is Huelgas. It came out in 2012, and it features a Salve Regina by John Sutton for 7 voices, and it's really lovely. It's a kind of beautiful blend of that kind of classic polyphony style with lots of quick kind of almost folk song-esque ornamentation within the parts. So it makes it sound very ethereal. And it's really lovely. In fact, in the first, I would say, 15 seconds of audio, you can hear one of those little ornamentations in I believe, the tenor line. But it's very lovely. So that will be my choral piece this week. The Eton Choir Book by the Huelgas Ensemble, featuring Salve Regina, 7 voices by John Sutton. I will be adding that to the playlist for those of you who have already added the playlist yourselves. The playlist in its current form. Go on.
I was just going to ask, are you still singing in that early music group that I know sprung up? Because you've been singing more early music recently.
Yes. Yeah, we are. We had our last rehearsal, I think, last week, because it's getting to the time where most of the members who are in the chapel choir, which is all but 2, will be going away on tour.
I see.
And then folk will be moving off from Exeter, so the consort will start up again, I imagine, in September, but potentially under a different name because quite a few people are leaving. One of them being Joe Reed, who kind of started the whole thing. I might see if current people singing in the choir want to kind of be signed as a free transfer from Ex Noctem to the group that I'll put together, because I absolutely will. That may happen, but it's certainly going to be early music as the focus, because it's just so.
I love it. This was something that I came into chapel choir really loving, specifically the Missa Papa Marcelli, the Palestrina. Yeah. That was like the piece that kind of got me into it. But it's something
which is on the playlist. If you haven't heard it, it's on the
yes.
playlist. The Mass in its entirety.
And it's something that you come to recently. Really, it wasn't sort of your original genre choice. What is it about it that you think appeals to you now?
I think it's the complexity of ideas within each line. So for people who might not be as into choral music as we are, you can broadly separate styles of music across from kind of like early 14th, 15th century right the way through to kind of 20th, 21st century modern composers. They can all still be kind of find their way into a category of either homophonic or polyphonic music. A homophonic sound would be something like when you sing a hymn in church, where your words, and even if you're singing different notes, your words and your notes match up with somebody else singing a different part. So it sounds like you're just kind of playing block chords. Whereas polyphony, every vocal part has its own line, and the lines kind of interweave with each other, and that kind of stems from chant, basically, and you just add other lines of chant to one existing cantus firmus or something.
And it's a lot more interesting to listen to.
Yeah, it's super interesting, because you've got to think rather than changing from one chord to another to give some kind of movement and progression and change in the kind of the musical narrative of the piece that you're singing. You, instead of just going, right, we're going to start here, da-da, and then we're going to go to here, da-da, you've got to think, well, this part's approaching the chord I want, but this part's not quite ready to fit in with that chord. So how am I going to kind of blend that gap? And early choral composers do it the best. The likes of, Gesualdo, Palestrina, Bird, Tallis, Tompkins, Weelkes, they're amazing. And it's such a unique, I think, quintessentially English choral sound.
Even though a lot of the composers aren't even English. It's just something that we've kind of co-opted as part of our... Although it's interesting, I was thinking about this the other day, how, would you necessarily count a lot of stuff from Bach, for example, as polyphony? Because it has a lot of the trademarks, but I don't think people would normally describe it as polyphonic.
No, I think, it's hard, isn't it? Because certainly in his larger works, you've got these more polyphonic style movements contrasted with homophonic chorale stuff that sound more like hymns. But because there's so much going on with Bach and Mozart to that extent, I guess, it's not as... I think a hallmark of kind of true polyphony is that it's a cappella.
Yeah.
So there's less of a focus, like there's more of a focus on those vocal parts being substance in themselves rather than it not being homophonic, but you've got an entire, orchestra underneath you.
I guess that the decline of polyphonic music then was, going into sort of the Baroque period, was basically as a result of instruments becoming either more available or increasing in complexity. Because, it's when you start seeing... It was someone like Monteverdi who's like right on the boundary of a lot of his Vespers, was it 1605? I can't actually remember the year. Are a cappella polyphonic, like without a shadow of a doubt. But then there are large movements with instrumental, accompaniment and with large homophonic sections. It's God, I want to do a music degree, Dan. I want to learn more. Well, I should probably start by getting like a GCSE in music because I don't have any theory qualifications. But it's so interesting the history of this stuff. Anyway, go check out that playlist. If us guffing about this has convinced you, then you should go and check out Dan's playlist. And if you want it on Spotify, do let us know. And we find ourselves in Critics Corner. So we actually haven't... There isn't a huge amount of time that's passed between this episode and the last episode because we are back on weekly uploads. We are committing
scheduled
to
broadcasting.
Dan's back from his exam break, and we are going to be doing this every week, apart from extenuating circumstances. But it does mean that now we have less time between the episodes, so we don't have as much to rant about. I've started watching a TV show, which is I'm hoping is going to become like. Pixel Girl and I really enjoyed watching Chernobyl together. It's really nice to share a TV show with someone, I think, and It's conversely very annoying when that person like jumps ahead without you. Like I don't know if you remember when I think all three of us watched the first episode of Stranger Things together, like me, you, and Pixel Girl, and then I was like, "Oh, great! I'm really looking forward to watching this with you." And then Pixel Girl went off and watched every episode on her own, and I was like, "Oh, for God's sake!" Like I was really looking forward to that. Anyway, so I'm hoping that we found a new one, which is Parks and Rec. I've not watched any Parks and Rec.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, we're like 3-4 episodes in, and it's
to the first season, presumably.
Yeah, because it's on Amazon Prime,
nice.
So we've got access to it for free. And it's just really good. Yeah, it's like multiple laugh out loud moments, which I don't often get from TV or movies or anything like that. Like it takes a fair bit to actually make me properly laugh. But yeah, it helps that I feel a real connection with Andy Dwyer, like with Chris Pratt's character. I really, really connect with him on a spiritual level, which is, nice. But
it's a fantastic show.
And Leslie Knope is actually kind of like Pixel Girl. There's like definitely some characteristics there of like very klutzy, but very passionate, very enthusiastic about what she's doing, with a heart of gold on her. It's just, I regret not starting this sooner. It's kind of up there with like the US Office is one of those shows that kind of you're expected to watch,
Yeah, see, I've never seen that. I'm tempted to try and watch it. I've seen the British Office many, many times, and I loved that. But I'd like to give the US one a try, just so I can more kind of accurately talk about the differences between the two.
Right. Yeah, no, I've only seen, I don't know, maybe half a season of the US Office, and I really liked it. I kind of want to go back and watch it from the beginning, really. Although it may be one of those shows that you can jump in halfway through, like it takes a while to get going. But I've not watched any of the British Office, so like I wouldn't. I'm the opposite.
Very good.
But yeah, no, Parks and Rec, really, really enjoy it. I'm sure that I'm way behind the trend on this, but I'm trying to supplement me watching endless episodes of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Because like I've just got into this habit of watching an episode over lunch because it's 45 minutes. Like that gives you enough time to get.
Did you see the trailer a while ago? Did you see the trailer a while ago for the new Picard?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Make it so. Really Make it so. Oh, I cannot
engage.
Wait. Oh, I love Patrick Stewart. I was saying this on stream the other day. Actually, I was like, if you were to ask me what are the characteristics that a leader needs to have? Like, what should a good leader be? It is literally, in my mind, what would Captain Picard do? Like, he is the archetype, the perfect example of a solid leader. And, like, oh, God, I just, like, it's the show, obviously it's dated a bit, right? The Next Generation finished airing about the time that I was born. And so the special effects at the time were pretty incredible, but like I could do better than them in After Effects now, like by quite some way.
Yeah.
But like a lot of the stuff that never gets dated. You know, the writing, for example, having a solid episode that is about the rights of androids, like is an android a sentient being, or the episode "The Sins of the Father," where Worf is basically on trial for his father's war crimes, and what is the value of honor? Like, solid writing doesn't get old. The way that it might be told does, but it's just good, and it's high concept sci-fi. They'll take a concept like addiction to the holodeck, and you know what it is, you know, or what it is to be human, and run with that for a whole episode. And like, yes, there's great sci-fi these days, and stuff like The Expanse, for example, which is fantastically made, really engaging, solid TV, but it's not high concept in the same way that The Next Generation was. And possibly I'm just looking in the wrong place, but I've yet to see anything that's really like good old Trek. So that's what I've been watching every day, and now I'm trying to supplement it with new stuff in the evenings because like trying to take some time off. But what have you been watching?
Well, I've been on a bit of a British TV show binge. Mm-hmm. I've now started watching and finished watching Good Omens.
Oh wow! How many episodes is that?
6, I think.
Oh, okay. It's not like a huge season.
Yeah. It's really quite short, but each episode's about an hour long. So between last week's episode and now, I finished it. But it's really, really excellent. And there's talk of potentially a second season, which is very, very exciting.
I've only heard good things about it. Yeah,
it's really good. I think it's one of the best TV shows I've watched, for sure. And then I've also yesterday, in fact, before here's another segue. I guess it can count as a review. I had my first driving lesson in a manual car yesterday.
Oh, right. I see.
Yeah.
How did it go?
Crazy. Yeah, it was really fun. It was very different to driving an automatic, obviously. There's so much more to kind of think about. But I also haven't been in a car for such a long time. Driving, I mean.
Yeah.
But it was really nice. I've got a really lovely instructor. His name is John. He's very calm. He's a musician.
Oh, that always helps, yeah. Is it a lot of hill starts that you're going to have to worry about? Because Exeter's very hilly.
Probably. Yeah, probably. We only did, I think I'm going to be let loose on the road next week, but I was in a car park yesterday.
What day of the week, just so we can give a public safety announcement for the people of Exeter?
Wednesday morning, 9:45 till 11:45.
If you see a plume of smoke or a large gaggle of pedestrians
I'm
running...
about in a bright red, really very lovely Ford Fiesta.
Get you.
Which is it's a really nice car. But yeah, it's really fun. I like it a lot.
So did you get a license in Australia for an automatic?
No, so I started learning in an automatic in Australia. So I had my provisional license. I had like my learner's license there and was doing lessons there. And then here, I then just reapplied for a learner's license. But obviously, I want to learn in a manual because that would be nice. But I want to have my aim is I want my license by Christmas.
I see. Oh, nice.
So I think that's doable.
I really do need to get back on it. Really, like
But I completely forgot. I was, my point being, Years and Years was what I watched, which is on BBC iPlayer. I watched the first episode, and it's really engaging.
I've not even heard of it. What is it about?
Well, it's kind of hard to say because it's kind of about lots of things. Let me find the Wikipedia. Let's see. Years and Years is a British television drama series which began broadcasting on BBC One on the 14th of May 2019. It'll be coming to the US on the 24th of June. The series will blah, blah, blah. The focus of the 6-part series is the Manchester-based Lyons family. Daniel's getting married to Ralph. Stephen and Celeste worry about their kids. Rosie is chasing a new partner, and Edith has not been home for years. Presiding over them all is Gran, the imperious kind of matriarch. All their lives converge on one crucial night in 2019, and the story accelerates into the future following the lives of the and loves of the Lyons over the next 15 years. So you have these moments of kind of time lapse where you see the kids grow up and they're kind of living in a more digital world. There's a big threat of nuclear. The end of the first episode closes with the US launching a nuclear bomb to a Chinese island.
Oh my! When is this? When is it set? What year?
2019.
Oh, so it's set in right? Okay. Wow. All right.
Oh, actually, no. I think it might be a couple of years later. I think it might be 2021.
Okay.
But it stars Emma Thompson as Vivian Rook, who's an MP. She's a businesswoman turned politician, and she kind of has there's a clip of her being on Newsnight, and somebody asks a question about the state of things in the Middle East and the kind of the general, oh gosh, it's all going pretty wrong. And her stance is, and what kind of gets her famous and then ends up making her run for MP, is that she says, well, you asked me about these things, and to be honest, I don't give a all I want is I want my bins to be reliably taken out every week. I want to live in a clean, nice town. I want my kids to be happy at school. And she was like basically saying, I feel like we should focus on getting home right first. And it's really weird because she actually kind of offers some really compelling arguments, but delivers them in a way that doesn't make her sound like a kind of Brexit, So it's asking these really interesting questions, and there's a big focus on kind of like the refugee crisis and obviously this nuclear crisis. And
wow,
yeah, it's really good. You'd like it. You'd really like it.
I will have to check it out. I need something that's going to fill like the serious drama hole that was left by Chernobyl.
Yeah. Well, you should watch it with Pixel Girl.
Yeah, I should. Yeah, I mean, she's in the middle of binging Killing Eve, which I was subjected to about half an hour of yesterday, and I was like, I have no clue.
My
what's going
parents
on.
watch that, I think.
Yeah, that sums up a lot of what Pixel Girl watches, to be honest.
It's meant to be very good, by all accounts.
I mean, yeah, I guess. Like, I didn't have a clue what was going on. I was jumping midway into like the second season, and she was like trying to explain. She was like, "Oh yeah, but Eve's becoming more like Villanella as the season's going on." And I was like, "Well, I have no clue who either of these people are, or where they've started, or where they're going to end up. So that is useless to me." But there we go. That was nice. But yeah, so yeah, that'll be a nice one. I'll have to check it out. As always, there'll be links to all of these shows in the show notes for the podcast. So if you'd like to check them out, and if you'd like to, we're always open to having emails. Like, send us some correspondence about what you think about these shows, or if you have any recommendations for us. But that's later in the podcast, Dan. That is later on. What we've got to do right now is thank. Who do we need to thank?
We need to thank our Patreons, Simon.
No, our patron. We did this last week. Our patrons, not our Patreons.
Sorry. We need to thank our YouTubes.
Yes. Thanks, MySpace. Top lad.
So you all know the drill by now. It's that time in the episode where we say a massive thank you to our patrons supporting us at patreon.com/the Wikicast. This basically is an opportunity for us to say a massive thank you to those who pledge $1 or $5 each month to keep this podcast running. It pays for our hosting, it pays for our donations to the Wikimedia Foundation, it pays for any contests we run, and also gives Simon and I a little bit more kind of leeway and freedom in kind of creative choices that we may like to make if we want to go and meet up and do some recordings, or pay for kind of transport and things. So it's all in all, it's massively, massively helpful.
It keeps the show on the air.
Absolutely, yeah. And those of you may or may not know, regular listeners will know, that I'm a hard dog. I'm a hard dog. I'm a hard dog. I'm a hard dog advocate, is what I was going to say. No, let's just go with I'm a hard dog.
Oh, you hard dog. John F. Kennedy.
I'm a hard dog.
Welcome to the show,
like
Mr.
dogs.
President.
Yeah. I'm a hard dog advocate, so I'm going to be saying a massive thank you to our top dog supporters. So without further ado, I'd like to say a big thank you to Ben McMurtry, who, incidentally, I saw this weekend because he came down for the Exeter University Singers Alumni Day, come and sing, which was really good. It was really well attended. We had an absolutely fabulous day and a nice pub thing in the evening, but it was really lovely to see him. I'd like to say thank you to him. I'd also like to say thank you to Eric Shun, Eric Bolliger, Jay Wright, Kyle Much, Maggie, Marut Vakira Punyawat, Nina Colton, Peter Reed, and Rory Healy.
Well, that's all well and good, Dan. That's all well and good that you're thanking the top dogs, but I want to thank the real heroes of the hour, the people who are actually keeping the podcast on the air, because there are so many people who are top cats. I was right all along that the people who are really cat fans were the people who were keeping us on the air. There are so many of them. My God, there are now 19 top cats. So thank you so much to Choco Cat, Dan Hanvey, Devon Hill, Ferdinand Singh, Hans J, Harmin Dutt, Isabella Ostrowski, Kodzo, Lachlan Woods, Layla Medina, Lewis Watson, Oliver Burkhardt, Oliver Craigie, Omar Miranda, Princess Andromeda, Rents Kirk, River Ward, Tapio Kirkinen, and William Humphreys. You are wonderful, wonderful people.
Crikey, gosh, that's a lot of people.
It is. It's a lot of cats. Try herding these guys. It's going to be impossible.
Yeah.
Top lad. So we're going to do something a bit different this week, Dan, and dear readers at home. Instead of doing Crisis Corner, we do have some crises that people have sent to us anonymously at spongyelectric@gmail.com, but we had a suggestion on the Discord that we could instead do a confession corner. So just as an experiment, what we'll do next week is we'll read out emails that have been sent to us with confession in the subject line first, and it could be confession, comma, whatever, and just confess to something. And it's going to be totally anonymous. It could be the tiniest little thing, or it could be the biggest secret you've been keeping. And we will give our thoughts on what you have confessed to. We're going to be like the two local friendly Catholic priests.
Yeah.
Interpret from that what you will.
Father Simon and Father Daniel are here to listen to your confessions.
If you could,
obviously it'll still all be anonymized.
Yeah,
they can be
very much
as Simon says. They can be as serious or just I one time started eating a yogurt in a supermarket before paying for it. Forgive me. That's all right. Well, yeah, you are forgiven.
My son, you are forgiven. I mean,
yeah.
If you could start off your email with "Forgive me, fathers, for I have sinned." That would be good. I like that as a thing.
Yeah, because it means we can sort them, and B, I think that's quite funny.
I always wanted to be a priest, you know. This is so ridiculous. What has the show become? I mean,
but we'll see what happens. You know, I think this new way of doing it will have real legs, because a crisis implies that there has to be something kind of presently wrong or not going awry, whereas a confessional can be anything. I mean, I certainly probably have things I could email in about. I've got some pretty hilarious ones. I've already semi-confessed to the yogurt eating one, but well, you know, I'll email in next week. How about that?
Yeah. Well, so this is just an experiment. We're not getting rid of Crisis Corner necessarily. If this is very popular, then we might do this every week. But it was suggested. I think it's a good suggestion. So let's give it a go. Too. Email in with confession, colon or something, or comma, whatever you want, and then we will anonymize everything that's sent that way, and we will give our take on how horrible a person we think you are. No, that's not what we're going to do. We're just going to give our thoughts on on your confession and absolve you. You know, are we absolving everyone? Is that a blanket rule? Are we Catholic priests?
I think everyone gets absolved. Yeah,
you get absolved. You get absolved. Everybody gets absolved.
Look under your seats right now, live studio audience. You'll find that you've all got a free absolve.
Absolutions for all. Anyway, we should crack on with some correspondence.
So here we are, Correspondence Corner once again. Let's kick off.
Ash, here we go again.
We have so many emails. It's crazy. There is one here that I'm going to have to jump to straight away because it's from the one, the only Danvey.
Oh, Dan Hanvey.
That's
Woo! It's live studio audience claps.
Happened there.
Woo! Danvey!
Yeah, okay. Danvey begins. Dear Statler and Waldorf. Very good. It's an absolute delight to welcome your multifaceted conversations back to my earholes after so long. I can see why Simon enjoyed this latest episode so much. It was a corker. Dan, well done on completing your academic studies. Woohoo! We must catch up properly sometime and celebrate. We absolutely must. Regarding your previous crisis writer, I'm 100% in agreement with what has been said. Cheating any form. So this is from last week's. Indicative of how you think and live, and to get annoyed, angry over shows you have a strong moral compass. I'm honestly surprised Dan didn't quote Dumbledore to this point. Soon we must all face the choice between what is right and what is easy. That's a very good quote.
It is.
Dan.
Right now, I'm both.
Yes. Cheating versus doing the right thing. It may be tough to accept that you may fail at something, but it's called having a spine. I also have a question for you. Given that you're both of a musical mindset, have either of you ever composed anything in the past? I'm part of a collaborative project at the moment, and I need to compose a basic instrumental and single voice song for it. I haven't done any composition since music GCSE, and was wondering if you have any tips. I fear I may end up slamming my face into the keyboard and calling it facial interpretations in A flat nose. Much love, Dan V. Age, digital.
Oh, I've missed him.
Very fine.
I've
It's lovely to
missed
hear
you,
from you,
Dan
Dan.
You've done composition.
I've done a bit of composition, but I never did music.
I've never done any, so this is entirely up to you. I've never done any composition.
Okay. Well, the composition that I've been doing is basically since now that kind of like I think my musical ability has increased tenfold since being with the chapel choir and now the cathedral. So, surprise, surprise, they have been choral compositions. I usually do things from bashing things out on the piano and seeing what sounds nice and then working from there. Pardon? Well, yes, yeah. I do most of my compositions by ear. As I say, because I never did music, I can't really come at it from a very strong theory perspective.
Yeah, so you can't come at it from a strong angle. Yeah. You just bash one out on the piano instead, mate. That's fine. That's what it sounds like.
Anyway, yes, I have done some compositions. None of them have been performed. I think some of them are all right. But I've nearly finished. I've got 3 responses to go, and then I've finished my set of responses, which is quite exciting.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah, nice fun.
Yeah.
I'd
like to do a psalm chant. That'd be cool.
I've never done any composition of any. I mean, I've done like improvised jazz, but that doesn't really count. I mean, that's just making stuff up as you go. I suppose that is kind of what composition is anyway. But yeah, not me.
I have to have a think. Well, we have some very talented readers on the podcast who often create jingles for us.
Yeah, Tapio,
excellent. Yeah, send us some excellent thoughts on music. So if there are any budding composers out there, email in and give Simon and I a lesson and help Dan out.
Yes, please do. Now, I actually, on a similarly musical note, there was an email here from Alex Elg. Now, we were recommended last week, Dan, to listen to Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick Lamar. Have you had a chance to listen to any of it?
No.
I see. So,
I mean, sorry, I should revise my answer. I have had a chance to listen to it. I haven't listened to it.
Yeah, that did seem a bit more likely. So I've listened to the whole album through, like once, and then I was listening to it this morning, actually, funnily enough. And it is amazingly creative. Like it's one of those things where it's almost like you're exposed to a whole new style of painting. Like if you'd never seen Van Gogh before, like, and you're like, I don't even know where to start with this. Like, I know that I like it, but I don't know where it sits within like my internal barometer of like art, right? I listened to it and it is phenomenally creative. Like you kind of, possibly you're like me in that you have, like you think all hip hop basically sounds the same. It's the same kind of beat with the same kind of flow over the top of it. And that is definitely, I knew that was an oversimplification anyway, but each track on To Pimp a Butterfly is really quite distinct, like really quite unique. And just to give you an idea of how creative it is, the final track is actually just a free-form interview, quote unquote, between Kendrick Lamar and Tupac. Except Tupac died, obviously. When did he die? What year was it? I mean, he died a very long time ago, and 1996. And so Kendrick Lamar basically wrote an interview using stock audio of somebody else interviewing him in order to kind of tie the themes of the album together, and that's where the phrase "To Pimp a Butterfly" comes from. It's sort of talking about a caterpillar looking at a butterfly and relating that to the experience of black men in America. And it's like, as soon as like I learned that, it was because I was like, I swear I recognized that voice, the one that Kendrick Lamar's talking to, and I was like, holy shit, it's Tupac. Like that then suddenly like blew the album open for me, and I'm like, I now want to go through it really rigorously and listen to it. So I really liked it. I can't remember who suggested it to us. Thank you, dear reader. But Alex Elg has come in with some more recommendations. So you definitely should give it a listen, Dan. Like give it a shot. Even if it's just...
I will. I'll listen to it on my way to Evensong today.
Yeah, do. I mean, it's quite a long album. It's like an hour and a quarter in length. And actually, if you've listened to the soundtrack from Black Panther at all. Kendrick Lamar did the album for that. Well, there were 2 albums that came out of it, but like the popular music one was Kendrick Lamar. And he did the credits song with Scissor? I'm actually not sure how you're supposed to pronounce it. Hang on. Black Panther, Kendrick. Hang on. I just need to know this now. Is it All the Stars? Yeah, with SZA. I'm not sure how you're supposed to pronounce that. But yeah, just give it a go. But Alex has come in with Dear Misters Clark and Moore. Good order, thank you. Upon learning that Kendrick Lamar is apparently a new discovery for the pair of you, I've decided to make it my mission to expand your knowledge and introduce you to the wide variety, both musical and linguistic, that is offered by the genre. To start off with, I'm going to seminar-style 360 no-scope double front flip off the Kendrick Lamar trail and recommend J. Cole and Logic, both of which are pretty okay. I do not know if you've ever talked about grime in the podcast, but I do highly recommend you listen to the likes of Skepta, Gets and Stormzy, at least for a start. More grime literate readers out there might despair and complain that these recommendations are horribly outdated, and to those I do apologise for the fact that I've not been following the genre as closely as I would have liked recently. For the more educational pieces, I would recommend the aviary-themed Four Owls, by whom Silent Flight is an excellent survey of what makes the owl such a formidable bird of prey. Stig of the Dump sounds similar musically speaking, but tackles completely different issues, and Loyal Kana sounds more lo-fi. Now, I realise if a reader here doesn't know anything about hip-hop, that literally sounds like it was generated by an AI. Like, that sounds like my video on writing a YouTube script.
I kind of like that, though, because there's so many things that I think I don't really know what's going on. You know, I'm more inclined to listen, I think.
Yeah, so check out this email from Alex in the inbox, and what they also
I'm looking at it.
What he also does then is break it down by language. So there's some French recommendations: Orelsan, Eddie DePreto, Romeo Elvis, Strome, Nekfu in 1995, German, Alligatoa, Dutch, Lil Klein, Italian, Russian. Then we've also got some Arabic ones, some Swedish ones. Swedish ones I bet will be really interesting, actually, because, I mean, as he says, Eric London raps a lot about the struggles of coming from an immigrant background. So many recommendations. We've got recommendations flying out of our ears.
Cool.
So thank you,
Alex.
Thank you so much, Alex. Aged 21 and 568 730ths. Thank you. Proper fraction. It's been too long since we've seen a proper fraction in the show. I'm going to have to give some of these a go. I tend to have music on when I'm working now in like the background, so I'll give this a try. Thank you for taking the time to write this.
We have an email here from Jack Gilchrist. He says, "Salutations, Dan and Simon. I haven't read the podcast in a while because I've been saving up episodes for my holidays, so I don't know if you've already talked about this.
Did you just switch to parcel time? Did you just switch to parcel time?
Yeah.
For a second.
Well, I thought the word was savings, but my cursor was above the middle of the word, and I was like, oh, it could be sailing. I don't know.
Because I'm sailing up episodes for my holidays.
Yeah.
Can you do the rest of this like?
But here I go.
No, a special request. Can you please do the rest of this in your the voice that you do with the S's whistle? It's like an old man from the south with no teeth. Yeah. Please.
I want so book. I can't. Find this email.
I'm looking at it right now.
What does the sentence after number one?
I believe that he wanted to say some, but it probably got autocorrected to so.
I see. I want some book recommendations from you all. I'm on a summer break until September, but need something to read. Simon, I did message you on Goodreads about this, but you ignored me. I like
sorry.
sci-fi, fantasy, but I also like more sciencey book.
No, do it properly. Do it properly.
I read Sapiens and The Martian and A Brief History and really enjoyed them. I was wondering if you had anything else along those lines or something a bit more hard sci-fi. Thanks.
It's just so it's a scattershot approach. You never know which one's going to come out. I'm sorry that you messaged me on Goodreads. I don't really use Goodreads all that much. I don't check my inbox on there. I haven't been reading a huge amount recently either, so I haven't had much of a reason to log in. But I wasn't consciously ignoring you. I'm sorry.
We also have here some recommendations, which is always good. It's the The first is the Altered Carbon series. Apparently they're really cool sci-fi novels. I've read the first two and really enjoyed them. The first novel's really good, sci-fi noir, and has a really good premise. There's a Netflix series as well, but I don't know if you've already seen it.
I didn't even know there were novels.
And 2 is An Absolutely Remarkable Thing, Hank Green's novel, which is meant to be very good.
I've only heard good things about it, to be honest. I do want to.
And he says, P.S. If you read all of this, sorry for writing such a thick email. P.P.S. Sorry if this email makes no sense. I'm not much of an Englishan. And P.P.P.S. Dog all the way. Well, very fine, Jack. Very fine indeed.
Dan is a hard dog, so you've got spot on the nose there. So sci-fi and fantasy recommendations. There's the stuff by Ian M. Banks. If you liked The Martian, that's probably... It's like... I read Consider Phlebas, which I think is the first Culture novel, and I really liked it, but I've yet to read anything more. It's quite a... It's a hard read in the sense that it's quite grimy. It's like... It's not... It doesn't conform to a lot of storytelling conventions. In other words, there's not a lot of happy endings, basically. It's quite bleak. But it's very good. It's kind of... In terms of, like, how easy it is to read, it reminded me of The Martian. So, Ian M. Banks is great. Sci-fi and fantasy. What else is there?
Which is the Red Mars trilogy.
Oh, yeah, Red Mars, Blue Mars, Green Mars? I've not read any of them, but I've heard... I was recommended them by my English teacher.
I think it's Red, Green, Blue, is it? Isn't it?
I don't know. To me, it would make more sense for it to be
anyway,
red.
I've read Red Mars, and it's really, really good.
Okay.
It goes Red Mars, Green Mars, Blue Mars. Yeah, red, green, blue.
But surely you'd put the water on Mars before stuff would grow on Mars. Like, that's why I thought that it would go from red to blue, as in you put water
I think
there
also
the
Red Mars is apparently colonization, Green Mars is terraforming, and then Blue Mars is the long-term results, which I guess makes sense.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, no, I've long wanted to read those. What else is in my...
Yeah, well, Red Mars is excellent. Kim Stanley Robinson, that's it.
I am actually just going to read... Sorry, I'm just going to log into my Goodreads to see what I've got in my wants to read pile. Probably like most people on this site, there's quite a few books in here. Oh God, I've got 76 books.
Oh, I finished Fatherland.
Oh, what did you think?
Really good, really good.
So I've got here in my recommend the top rated thing that I want to read is The Last Question by Isaac Asimov. I've not read any Asimov, I don't think, and that is a terrible gap in my my reading education. So I definitely want to read that. I've also got Six of Crows, which I was recommended several times. I can't remember who finally got me to put it onto my Goodreads, but that's a fantasy series, I believe, because that's the first book, and apparently they're excellent. So that's 2 recommendations from me. That's probably all the really, really top ones. So yeah, I just need to crack on with reading. I'm so behind with reading this year. Just haven't. I've never made time for it. So yeah, need to fix that. But okay, yeah, I didn't know there were Altered Carbon books. I only thought there was the Netflix series. So that's going to be interesting. And I need to check out An Absolutely Remarkable Thing. That's one to read on like a holiday, I think. Yeah, well, thank you very much, Jack.
Lovely. And we have one last short one here from Rosie saying, "Hi both. I co-host a new comedy podcast called It's History, Bitch. It's supposed to be like Britney, but no one seems to have gotten the joke yet. Anyway, we're big fans of the Wikicast, and we hope our show is as funny. We'd love to do a promo swap with you guys if you're at all interested, but we're new, so I understand if it's not really worth your end. Either way, keep up the top-notch work, Rosie." Well, there we go. We've got a listener who's a fan of the Wikicast and has started their own thing. As a co-host, It's History, Bitch.
Like Britney, bitch.
Comedy podcast.
It's History, bitch.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
we'll have to check that out.
There'll be a link in the show notes if you'd like to check it out. So, well, best of luck, Rosie. I really hope that we haven't just given a promo to a massively offensive podcast. It's like we check it out and it's all like Holocaust denial and stuff like that. And we're like, oh God, what have we done? We should have checked our sources. No, if you're a reader of the Wikicast, I'm
just sticking it into Google now.
I'm sure that you are wonderful people.
So it's on Apple Podcasts. That's good.
Well, we're really plugging them. They're getting a lot of airtime on this episode.
No, it's got a good thumbnail. You should check it out. It's very good.
The one with anti-popes, Hetty Green, and the London gin craze. What a thumbnail! Yep, fantastic. Absolutely.
The London gin craze is a really fascinating and hilarious period of they did it in our time.
I listened to the In Our Time and about how basically it wasn't the problem was already there. It was just that they changed the alcohol. Like, people were getting smashed off of... It was the fact that it was the war with the French, wasn't it? Which meant that people switched to Dutch gin as opposed to French wine. And so the substance changed. The problem was the same as before. But there we go. Yeah, it's history, bitch. I'll have to check it out.
In fact, speaking of gin, I read quite a funny joke about gin and a nun. Would you like to hear the joke about gin and a nun, Simon?
Oh, go on.
Okay, here we go. So a nun is standing outside a pub, and a man comes round the corner planning to grab an after-work beverage. The nun immediately points at him and intones, "Before you enter this den of sin and debauchery, think of your mother and your father." The man wipes a tear and says, "They're dead. God bless them, they're dead in heaven." "Well," says the nun, "then think of the damage the alcohol will do to your brain." "What?" the man asks. What are you talking about? Have you ever had a drink?" The nun says she hasn't. "Then how can you talk about the alcohol? I'll tell you what to do." He continues, "I'll buy you a drink. After you've drunk it, then you can talk to me about the alcohol. What'll you have?" I don't know," says the nun. What do ladies usually drink?" "Gin," he replies. "Oh, all right," she says. "But can you put it in a cup so nobody notices?" The man nods and walks into the bar, calling out to the bartender, "Bartender, I'll have a beer and a double gin in a cup." "It's that bloody nun outside again, isn't it?" says the bartender.
Wow.
I read it and I thought it was quite good.
Okay, I see. I was expecting a bit more of a
like
punchline.
That was quite a savage reception.
I fully thought that there was another line following that punchline. That's why I was holding back.
I don't know. Well, no. Well, maybe you're welcome to think of one, though.
Oh no, I'm not a jokester. I don't think of this stuff. Wow. Well, yes, it was a good joke. Well done, Dan. I like that.
F*** you.
Well done.
I really liked it. I'm very easily pleased, man.
What have we learned today, though, Dan? What, apart from your terrible joke?
Well, we learnt about an American hockey team, did we not?
Yes, we did. I may have actually just jumped the gun and done your line from the script, but never mind.
Yeah, but hey, it doesn't matter. I'll do it. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's not that I have no idea what we read, but it's fine.
We did the 2001 to 2002 Nashville Predators season as hosted in the Gaylord Entertainment Center. They were
brilliant.
A pretty terrible ice hockey team in America in the early 2000s. Yes. Are they still? I probably should have checked on them. Like, are they still in the league? Do they still exist? They seem to be doing all right. In 2018, they won their first President's Trophy and Central Division titles. It's a positive story, everyone. Over the course of this podcast, they went from being pretty much zero to hero. Wow. But they're not in the Gaylord Entertainment Center anymore.
Very impressive. We also gave we had a new choral piece of the week by the Huelgas Ensemble. We chatted about Good Omens and Years and Years. And Simon, you said you'd started Parks and Rec.
I have, yes. Very much enjoying it.
We've shifted up we're going to trial a new kind of Critics Corner, which is going to be confession.
Everyone gets an absolution.
You can email in with your confessions. You're all going to be absolved. It's all fine. But we're going to give that a go, see how that goes. It was a suggestion in the Discord. And then we ended with some really stellar correspondence, some music stuff.
A lot of music recommendations. So I am very much looking forward to digging into some of these. I have no idea when I'm going to find the time to get through all of them, but I'll give it a good go.
And that's all for this week's episode. Don't forget to subscribe to us on your podcasting service of choice. You can like us on Facebook. And if you'd like to see our faces, check out our YouTube channel, Spongy and Electric.
Tales of childhood sports, confessions, and other thoughts on the show can be sent to us at spongyelectric@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you.
Join us again for another tumble down the wiki rabbit hole.
And we'll see you next time.